Hey guys. Ooh, excuse me. Let me take out my most beautiful and cherished Flux Arcana Tarot. Tis the season, right? Like, it's not going to count unless we can see this adorable little jack-o'-lantern. My friend Meg makes candles as well. And yes, I absolutely support my friend who does a very similar craft to what I do. Because there's room for everybody. There's enough for everybody. And what's really cool is that we have totally different styles. And we love working together. So anyway, do I have another one of her? I have another candle or two by her. But anyway, yes, she makes these lovely, beautiful, wonderfully scented. I don't actually have asthma or allergic reactions to her candles, which I think has to do with the quality. And I'm sure she would tell me about everything that she uses. But I'm really sensitive to anything that is scented. I really struggle with it. But anyway, yeah, random bit about the jack-o'-lantern. Have you guys been? I really just want to shuffle some tarot. You know, today is Wednesday. I know we checked in with each other like right before the eclipse season was going to open. Yeah, and so that was on dang y'all, Friday going into Saturday. I'm like, I know that I just said today is Wednesday, but you know, I don't know if you guys can relate, but time is very, what would we say, there's slippage. It's super odd. And I've never, in all my time of growing and evolving, you know, on a healing journey, on a self-awareness journey, on a, you know, personal evolution, you could say spiritual, but it's so much bigger than that. Moving into the energy of the age of Aquarius, but especially noted by shifting into this year. Saturn going into Pisces, I would definitely say is a marker. Excuse me, I'm just having my like water vitamin drink. ASMR slurping in your ear. Listen, so I don't know. It was funny because I was like, today's Wednesday, but I'm like, what is it Wednesday? What is Wednesday? You know, the eclipse felt like it was a month ago. You know, our Ring of Fire. It definitely was not a month ago. But then, guys, can you relate? Please comment if you can. Because like then you'll have days where it's like the day, you know, are like, okay, how the frick did we get from like, it was like March, April, May, October, you know? And it's like, how are 18 days down? I feel like October just started. Let me digress because this is the energy when I haven't checked in with you guys in a bit. I really had wanted to stay consistent with checking in on Mondays. And yeah, I don't know. I was traveling on the weekend and then coming back and then had a private event on the weekend while I was traveling. It's funny. I don't intentionally plan it that way, but it happens all the time. But I'm so thankful that I can, you know, get to share it at any event. So it's very wonderful, just expressing gratitude there. So I find it very interesting, and I need to hop on the website and kind of update our astrological energies for the week. I haven't done that only because I was out of town. I came back in, and then it was like I was doing all the things. So I'll get it updated to give you a more specific list. If you ever get to check that out on my website, I will. I usually do my best to make sure you can see the most current YouTube video just for the collective, for whoever needs it. You can see the personal astrological offerings that I think are important right now. You can always book a reading or just reach out to me and be like, I want to dig into my astrology. Where do I start? Can you help me dig into my natal chart? Because let me tell you now, I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, I would love to write you a 300-page book on your entire... We're not going to do that. You have to take the astrology and the ebb and flow of what's going on in the collective. I'm sorry, I would strongly encourage you to, you can do whatever you feel called to do, of course, right? But for me, in my experience and working one-on-one with people, it is much easier to digest, and you don't have a massive existential crisis of, untethering from your 3D. But no, it can just get deep. It can be a lot to chew in your natal astrology chart, which, I believe is very much strongly connected to something much like a map of your soul, the Akashics up in the hallways, right? It's heavy. It's a lot to work on. It's a wonderful self-reflective tool for growth. Especially in the eclipse season. Second eclipse season, it's always going to hit differently because it is about purging, it is about pruning, it is about death, it is about release. Because you just had a big old harvest, right? So I would always encourage you, the reason I was saying is I'll keep the astrology, usually weekly. I'll just make little updates that are easy enough to understand. If you're curious about anything else, you can delve into it further, and check it out. But yeah, it's just been a super busy week. And so we are past the new moon, which included at 21 degrees of Libra, right? We included the annular ring of fire eclipse. So we talked about that when we checked in. I think it was right before it went down. We checked in on those energies. So now we are, excuse me, moving into the moon cycle. What's today, the 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22. So we've got about 5-ish, I think, days until we transition into Scorpio season. We will be moving into Scorpio. Mars is, of course, already ahead of us. He probably real hyped up to get himself on into Scorpio. As he's been in Scorpio, he was in Libra, And he kind of gets gassed up in Scorpio, so we have to watch out for that. Because it can really be that vendetta type of energy. Sometimes Mars and Scorpio on the shadow side and get a little bit dark. But yeah, we'll be shifting into Scorpio season. We're still in the ending Decan of Libra. Yeah. And so what I was just really hearing a lot about from Spirit is, Libra, we've been talking about, Libra and relationships and, bringing your harvest to the table, your divine inheritance that we've been bringing into through our light bodies, through activations, through solar energy, all the stuff we've been doing, right, all through the summer. We've been working the stuff down. We've been clearing our emotional bodies so that we can really open our heart chakras. And we may refer to those as stargates, as portals. As such. And so we've been doing that work. Then we come into the harvest season. We come into Virgo. We clean, we declutter, we organize, we get ready to bring the harvest to the table. Now we are in Libra season, bringing the harvest to the table. And it's really been that whole vibe. And we keep hitting on this because now the nodal axis has shifted. We are in Aries and Libra axis, where previously our nodes for the collective were in Taurus, Scorpio. So it's very interesting because you will see this, is it lemniscate? What am I seeing? The infinity symbol. It's a very interesting energy because if you throw back and you kind of dig in on the north and south node points, right? And you dig into the Taurus and the Scorpio, and you take it back to, okay, let me set it up for you. I'm sorry, because I'm kind of seeing it, how Spirit and my guides are wanting me to present it. So it's interesting because the nodes will be in a certain position for 18 months. And I don't have it in front of me, like the date that it started. But I want to say that we've been in the new nodal axis for, I want to say, probably like a month, maybe almost 2 months now, I want to say. So if you take it back, right, we came into the eclipse season a little bit after the spring equinox in big Aries energy. And then we will complete. It's like the springtime eclipse was eclipse season, right? May-ish. Don't get me down on the dates, okay? Because if we had it all pulled up in front of us, we could look at exact dates, but you can flow with me here. We had this big Aries energy, and it was almost like it was preparing us for this shift. When you talk about the nodal axis, you're talking about, so say we're looking at your chart, we would be talking about like fated, what is my destiny? Okay. Like what is everything that I'm going through in these cycles, that my south node and my weak points and a lot of the recurring, if you'd like, you could say karmic cycles. You could say life lessons of cycles. Every time I'm in my job, I find myself in these type of situations, in this relationship, and this, whatever the case is, I find myself in these cycles and I'm learning these patterns. The south node can kind of be, well, every time you put me here, I know I'm going to ace it, but I know also I have these thorns in my side, and I understand that if I wield them properly, my weaknesses can teach me my greatest strengths. Is definitely that energy. And it can kind of also be like, this past life energy that kind of wants to tag along. Ancestral karma, these type of things. And then north node energy, a lot more is, and a lot of astrologers will tell you, I'm going to lead up to why this is important. A lot of astrologers will say, Western anyway, right? You want to look actually at your north and south node when you begin to dive into your chart, to kind of understand, well, what the fuck is really the point of all this that I'm reflecting on? I always tell people, you look in your north node, it's like, give me the cheat codes. Okay. You're going to tell me I'm going to go through 25 cycles, right? That's what I signed up for on this soul contract, this incarnation. All right, cool. So what, it's like going through video game levels, right? You're driving your little Merkaba and you're collecting your little stars, and then I'm leveling up, right? Okay. But where are we going? Like, when do I get to the point where I reach the castle, I tagged all the flags, you're going to put my crown on, and this is going to be like my fated destiny. So we talk about north and south node energy. It's very important because every 18 months, when you look at that north and south node energy in the collective, it's kind of gearing you. Spirit is kind of saying, you're going to see a lot of stuff play out around these themes. You're going to have some kind of destined fated encounters. You're going to, you can choose to repeat certain cycles the same way, or you can kind of, so to speak, level up, or you're like, all right, cool. I rode these cycles 2 wheels around already. I think I'm ready to go on up. I got the t-shirt on some of these lessons. I've aced it. Maybe I failed a few times. Now I've aced it. I'm ready to move on. Right. So it's interesting to me that the north and south node energy, so it's like you have an eclipse lighting us up, with all of this Aries energy, like Aries stellium, Aries on Aries on Aries, all these planets in Aries, big rare hybrid solar eclipse in Aries, right? Because it was in preparation for this new nodal axis shift. Now, what is also interesting is the second part of the year, you come back round to the eclipse portal that is after, we would say, the harvest, like on the wheel of the year, is very different. You're kind of being lit up with a lot of sunshine. You think of a plant growing in the springtime. Wow. And because it's even a little bit past, we're not talking about like Imbolc and stuff like this. We're a little bit past, right? We're more closer to May. In May's energy. So he's seeing things blossom from seeds that may have already been in the soil a long time. So what's interesting is the mid-ending of October taking you into November. On the wheel of the year, if you think about it, it would be more like, I'm not talking again about Gregorian calendar. It's been thrown out of whack a little bit on purpose to fuck you up, but that's a conversation for another day. You'll get there and you'll understand to ask questions when you're ready to. But by the time you get to the end of October, you're observing, maybe you say Samhain, maybe you say All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, whatever version of whatever that you're looking at, of observing the fact that the veil is very thin. You roll into the beginning of November, you're quiet, you're honoring your ancestors, all of these things. And then, November tends to be a more of a somber, a more of a quiet. You're feeling a lot more of the slowdown. And so it's this time of purge, October eclipse season where we will move our way towards a full moon in Taurus. And that will be your lunar eclipse, right? You have your solar and then you have your lunar. So when you get to the lunar eclipse energy, it's much more quiet and somber and reflective. But what's interesting is it will be in Taurus because it's almost a throwback to the old Taurus Scorpio axis we were in before. For the previous, maybe you could say earlier this year and last year, for the previous 18 months. You are now being brought back with everything that's been lit up, planted, bloomed, you've brought in a harvest from. It is a new, you're being brought back to a time to really reflect on before the wheel of the year kind of closes itself out, before the real timetables of Gaia, in the earth, before they get ready to kind of go on shutdown, kind of go into dormancy, right? To recoup energy, to let dead things nourish and make rich soil and all this process we always talk about, right? Okay. Because mind you, nothing was intentionally meant to constantly just produce a year long. And I know y'all love to be like, well, let me tell you about it. No, I'm not going to debate it here, but we could have scientific, like environmental science based, like actual, intelligent conversations about why it is supposed to be like that. But I digress. Is what I'm trying to say right now is you may be feeling this energy. It's almost like in Libra season, a lot of things will kind of come and knock at the door and come back to the table to kind of say, we are in a new north and the south node axis. You have access now with everything that has been planted in you and has come to fruition this year. What are you going to do with that? Are you gonna, let's say, sign up for new classes? Are you going to have you done the work to shift some maybe fragmented parts of yourself back together? And no, we don't do them all in 1 year. Okay. It's kind of like we get what we can get around this wheel and we progress a little bit. And sometimes that's fall back a little bit more, progress. Oh, so, it is a dance like that, but it's like, look, we recollected some puzzle pieces, right? Yeah. We got some puzzle pieces in place. Ding, ding, ding. Boom. You're ready to elevate in some few areas, but the nature of that full moon in Scorpio is going to be so interesting because it is kind of bringing you back to lessons that you were working on, before we went into that whole Aries rare hybrid solar eclipse in the beginning, right? Again, this would have been like like April, May time, more like May time, April, May time. Anyway. This would have been things that were already being put into place to prepare you for that season. And then we go through this year, we come back, we look at, okay, now, yes, you've had a fruitful harvest, it's been really wonderful, but we are still purging, being pruned, so to speak. Excuse me, and I'm always going to remind people in this type of explanation, it's like a divine balancing. Do you know what I'm saying? And Taurus, that full moon in Taurus will bring us back to the reflective point of, it's like, really, what have you learned about what you value? And how are you going to prune yourself so that you can be ready for different, cycles, for a different path of evolution. Let's think of the wheel and the tarot, right? I mean, because you can choose to hang low on that wheel and roll back round through some more, let us say karmic lessons, so to speak. And there's lots of different ways that we can word that if you don't vibe with that word, you know. Or you can really come to the table and say, I'm really tired of fucking around with some shit that I would like to really change in my life. And it's very interesting in the late fall eclipse season. And you know, if you're, it's flipped if you're in different hemispheres, but I can only relate to what I know in my own seasons that I live in, right? So, you know, that's one big thing that I want you to focus on, is that in we would say the darker time of the wheel, you know, when we are getting less and less and less light of the sun, we are more surrounded in the morning, more surrounded in the evening by the absence of the sunlight. And what happens is that some things, Spirit is saying, will come to call. And it is a test. And you know, listen, in my long time, many years of working one-on-one with people, you will, and having relationships, being in spiritual connections, having teachers, right? All these things. You will have people that will say, man, fuck all that testing shit. I'm being tested. I'm being tested. It's not, no, it's you with you. It's your spirit team, your ancestors, your guide, your levels of higher versions of you. What is time? Time is only means what it means here in a linear way. But honestly, there's many versions of you that you could arguably say are your ancestors or are your spirit guides as well, if you choose to view it that way. It's not no one else. I'm not trying to bring the energy to the table of saying you're going to be tested, but you are. But it's you with you, right? Relationship going to come back around again. Old habits, because it's when we want to, what happens is the body, the mind, I'm not going to say the spirit, but they crave a homeostasis. You know what I'm saying? So when we have less of that light, just bzz, 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 it's charging our battery and we feel so woo, you know, and we ride that wave. It is natural in this time of the year that everything slows down, so that we can reflect, so that we can draw inward to ourselves. And that's a very natural flow. But sometimes what happens, and this is even on a psychological, or like on a, I don't know the word for like studying, would it be, anyway, the word I'm trying to think of is on the tip of my tongue, but even in a psychological way, you want to tuck in. So you want to lean back into what is comfortable to you. And it's a very crucial point, because it is very easy to fall back on what feels comfortable. But the full moon, that is kind of like the bookend of this second eclipse portal in Taurus, is really saying, it's time for you to really reflect on what you value, though, right? We've brought all these things into the storehouse for a harvest. And the truth is some people are like, oh, it's a harvest, it's a party time, everything's on the table. You know, a foolish man is going to throw a big party and not do well by stewarding his harvest, so to speak. But really, energetically and spiritually, a lot of things that you've learned. And again, I want to point to that nodal axis. They're going to carry you on out more into this, again, I'm saying the nodes will be at this Aries Libra axis for 18 months. And we're already a couple months into that. So now there are things that are going into your soil in 2024. They will be blossoming right on into 2000. We're talking, again, we're not on a Gregorian calendar. The things that if you were harvesting, you would be jarring things up. You would be crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's and saying, this has got to make until months and months out, right? So sometimes we get this impression and we almost get on a high energetically. It's like, I want to keep going. I want to keep going. I want to keep going. And everything in your culture, you look around, is going to encourage you to do that. But spiritually, a lot of things that emotional healing, spiritual healing, personal evolution, they are, they're going into the soil to make new things in the coming cycles. And so we have to be patient with ourselves. I always encourage people in eclipse portals, to protect your energetic boundaries. It's going to be a natural instinct to kind of draw in. Here's another thing that I kept thinking about in Libra season, and everybody's always talking about relationships and beautiful aesthetics and all these things, and it's definitely a part. We kind of talked about that more in the last video. But Libra is definitely like a vibration of being in a room with a lot of people and focusing on who is like speaking into your ear, right? And it has a people pleasing note to it. It has a, I want to bring harmony and balance. But it's very important how when you surround yourself in a room of people, and you can think of social media being a room, whatever, your socials, right? Your, whatever's in your feed, whoever you go out and spend your time with, are you or are you not selective about that? Do you use that as a tool for bypassing the people that you surround yourself with and spend time with? Do they encourage healthy mind, body, spirit habits? The things that you see in your feed, are you quote unquote doom scrolling? Or are you spreading joy? Are you using your time to educate yourself? Do you understand what I'm saying? It was like Spirit was saying this, like all these people are voices in your room. In our energetic frequential fields, our personal vibration, our personal signature of energy, right? Our aura is so sensitive to sound. As a huge wave of the age of Aquarius is very unique healing modalities that have to do with the energetic currents. But part of the energetic current is that everyone has this instant connection to anything they want to read, anyone they want to talk to, anything they want to see. It's like, meme, video, person, voice, YouTube, blah, 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 blah. And you get to a point and it's like, how do you, Libra season, something to reflect on before we end it out here is how many voices do you have in your room? And I was writing a journal entry about this in my own personal work. And I was doing a one-on-one reading with my friend. Shout out to her. She's badass. I love her. But she is a Libra. And we were talking about this whole idea. Spirit was channeling to her, like, people in your life can be, well, it's not can be. Listen, you have free will. You accept what you want to when you get ready to, but some truths is be truths, okay? Because they're science, it's factual. Get with it and then decide what you will do accordingly. It's your own path. Do you know what I mean? But I'm telling you now that people, that voices, that music, that I'm not going to go on a tangent about having earbuds in all day. Lord, y'all. Okay. But we have so much voices in the room. And it's this whole big old thing about like, how can you get tuned into your divine gifts of intuition and discernment? Intuition used with discernment. Discernment is also coupling your intuition with the wisdom that you've been able to glean through your life experience. And if you have been on a self-aware, evolutionary, healing journey, right? A growth journey, you're going to be gleaning wisdom from your experiences. If you don't give two shits and you want to ride a chaos wheel over and over again, okay, fine. That's your choice in this lifetime. I ain't looking at your soul contract. I don't know. Right? But you want to be coupling your discernment with your divine intuition. But it's so hard to do that. And I was telling my friend, I was like, Spirit is showing me tuning forks, like boom, right? There's tuning forks in the room all the time. What are you attuning to? What is in your earbuds? Who is in your feed? Literal music playing in your ears all the time. What is the message? What are the words? What are you programming? Because Libra energy, again, I'm going to be in the room. I'm going to bring balance. I'm going to bring, kind of equality. I'm going to bring justice. I'm going to do all these things. And you can have the best intention. But Look, y'all, if you show up in a room that's a certain thing every single time, at some point, your attunement is going to be tuned to the room that you're in. Who is in the room? Can you even hear your own intuition, your own, can you put that at work with your discernment, right? That's so important right now. It's almost like, how do you even hear the own voice in your head, the still small voice, right? Okay. The spirit of you that is separate, but also at the same time in oneness with all that is, that's ultimately rooted in, threefold unconditional love, energetic frequencies that are connected to all things. Okay, we go on and on all day about this, talk about that still small voice, but you know it, and we have lots of different words for it, no matter where you go. But if you can't hear it, it's like this whole thing with the ending Libra season of saying, who's in the room? What is in the room? What is the sound that is going into your brain waves? What is the energy that is, you know what I'm saying? If you go out all the time with people who love to have a bunch to drink, that's how they bypass dealing with their day. No judgment on me. I have been there before. I'm not there. Thank goodness for the strength of my own personal work. We are all in different places. But you know what I'm saying? Eventually you might find yourself going ahead and having a drink, right? Okay, if you listen to music that always has a certain message, you are okay. Just watch your tuning forks is all I'm saying. And spirit just really pressing in and saying, who is in the room? What do your tuning forks sound like? And of course, we all know that those tuning forks that are very powerful are intimate and personal relationships. But I'll tell you what, I will tell you, okay, you got to watch. You got to watch that YouTube. You got to watch that music. You got to watch that social media, especially for y'all. Shout out walking around with your earbuds in your ears all day. Please be careful. Please be careful. How are you tuning yourself? And what rooms do you show up into? Because you maybe unbeknownst to yourself, without realizing it, trying to balance and harmonize these rooms at the sacrifice of holding your own frequential resonance, which is so necessary and is so needed for the world. But if you're not well rooted in it, it's not going to hold, right? And this is super interesting if you will see on a collective level a lot of spiritual people kind of going into hermit mode right now. People like teachers that have taught me, people's channels that I have followed and respected, and I'm very, very picky about that. I don't like people fucking about in my head, right? That aren't worthy of having space there. I've grown to that. And so I'm picky about it. But you see these people, they're like, that's the end for me, or I need to take a break for a while. It's understanding and reading the room of the frequency of the tuning and saying, I got to step back out of this shit because I got to be rooted in me, my chakras, my energy, my meridians. I need to be rooted in me because, right? Jupiter and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, all this Venus work that we have been doing all year. There's so much Venus influence as well on the month of October. I talked about that in another video, I think. And then we're going to complete that. Taurus, ruled by Venus in our full moon, is really saying, like, stop. Stop letting people attune your frequency and your energetic signature to less than you're worthy of, to less that you need to show up in the room with. Because we've done a lot of hard work on recovering self-worth, understanding what do I value? Why do I value it? Is it full of shit? What is my soul, my spirit guides, my higher team and self? And what is my energetic signature and my frequency trying to teach me, trying to say to me? And has the wool been pulled over my eyes in certain ways about what is of value and what should not be, and how am I sacrificing my own value? And so there's a lot of lessons like this coming to completion. Now I do feel like I keep shuffling these cards. I do feel like people who have really been on a path, who have really, you could say, if you identify with being on an ascension path, people who've been really working on their personal evolution, their journey, who pay attention to their energy, who are paying attention to, Taurus, Venus energy is very tangible. Earth, I am in this body. What do I put in my body? It can be very much about a health journey. A lot of people have been doing this work, which all of that work will trigger shadows and wounds. Why do I show up to that party? Why do I let that group bring me all the fuck off my alignment? Why do I eat that? Why do I spend my money on that? And because then I could probably have to work less and be more embodied in my true divine frequency, but then I make more and then I spend it all. You get what I'm saying? This is this Jupiter and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, and they both retrograde right now type of energy, because it's like, get real about it. Get real about it. Okay. But in an embodied way, right? Because Neptune retrograde in Pisces, we do want to get out there in the void and sit with source and understand these uncomfortable moments. When we question our values, we come to these triggering moments and then take us back to these loops. Well, I got to loop back and I got to work on this and heal this a little bit. That's okay. But then we come back to the body and we work on that. I'm divinely sovereign. What is it that I truly value and why? And how do I need to walk in a higher, more calibrated path, in my everyday life that is syncing up with these new values that I'm having after these probably spiritual awakenings. We have so much activation this year. I would not be surprised. But a lot of people may find themselves with this Taurus full moon at this, again, this is the bookend, the closing of this eclipse portal. They may be saying, I actually feel pretty fucking good. I feel embodied. I feel present. I feel like celebrating because I've worked hard. I've purged. I've released a lot. I've learned a lot. And I'm willing to bet you money. If you go back to 2020, you're going to come up now and say, dang, since 2020 even. Now I find myself and I'm saying, yes, I'm going to celebrate this full moon because I am above that karmic cycle. I am above that lower level of value because I've worked my ass off, with the black moon, Lilith and Leo, with the Venus's journey through Leo, with a lot of these Aries energies that we've been working through the summer, the spring, the early fall. It's kind of that vibe, and it's a Taurus vibe too. Oh, I'm fine. I got me here. I know what I value. I've stepped off the wheel. I'm not looping around and playing with that karmic shit anymore. Here is where I am. I'm here. And I'm not dipping back down anymore because I don't choose to do that. And that's called sovereignty, right? So we could find ourselves at different places, you could say, on the wheel, right? Because the wheel is closing out. The Scorpio season is the death card, right? So we're between the Justice card, excuse me, and the Death card. What do we have as I've been shown? Look at, y'all can't make it up. Please look at this Wheel of Fortune. I don't even need to explain the card because it's what we've been talking about. I'm just pulling off the bottom. The Seven of Pentacles. I love to call this card, is the juice worth the squeeze? I heard this one tarot reader say it one time and I never forgot because it makes so much sense. Y'all, listen though. But can we just appreciate these cards? It's so funny when the cards aren't really like, flying. When I'm talking about astrology, I'm like, am I off the mark? And then we pull the cards and it reiterates the entire message I was channeling for my guides. All right. And it's on point. Because the wheel has us completing karmic cycles. If you do not resonate with that word, okay, fine. Is you shifting from like a karma mode to a dharma mode, right? It's you shifting into your best life in ascension energy. Hey, you know what? I'm all the way up here on this part of the wheel when we spin this thing again. I don't even know what's below me. I don't know. I ain't even down there. That's that energy. Okay. I'm not even down there. All right. And the Seven of Pentacles has you pausing to reflect on everything you've worked for, right? The Seven of Pentacles is the juice worth the squeeze, right? All these people that I am feeding at these tables, You know, you could say at my Thanksgiving table. You could say during Yule season, you know, when we gather the people close to us in the hearth as we want to make it through the longest nights. How many people you lighten your candle for? Like, really, is the juice worth the squeeze? Please stop playing with yourself, because 2024 and this energy that Pluto is about to shift gears into, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011 for a reason. Okay, we spent all this year, in the 2023 is the 7th year, getting the keys to drive our Merkaba. Okay, it's like getting the keys to a new house, and you're going to go take all your furniture in there, and in 2024, you about to fucking live your best ass life in that house. Who is the juice worth the squeeze on some of these relationships? Is the juice worth the squeeze on this job? On this, maybe you thought, like, I thought this was the dream, blah, 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 and I was just going to be in this relationship forever, live in this town forever, work, you know what I'm saying? You can fill in the blanks in so many ways. I thought that this is how I was going to practice my business or my job or my soul purpose forever. And Spirit, your ancestors, your team, and higher self is saying, nah. We're shifting onward and upward. In the age of Aquarius, you're going to be evolving to embody your most authentic self. Because when you are your most authentic self, you boom, that's when you put out that hum of energy that is going to be your most powerful frequency, right? So it's kind of like, again, it almost gives this energy of like the fool just skipping away from the things that he decided wasn't worth the squeeze. Yeah, you know what, guys? I got a top of the wheel to catch, and I got to get prepared for that when the next springtime rolls around. And yeah, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna skip out. It's preparing us for this kind of energy. In this picture, he doesn't have a bag at all. But if you ever notice, a lot of the depictions of the fool, his bag is what? Is very small, because he packs light. You know what I'm saying? He packs light because a lot of the juices were not worth the squeeze. Please get real with yourself. Or the things that I'm spending all this money on that I got to go out and toil all this time for, when I really could be sitting in my own divine sovereignty, because I really need so much less than I tell myself that I need, because then I need to unplug and get real about some of my attachments, which leads me to trigger work and shadow. Okay, right? You see what I'm saying? The fool is packed light. He's not carrying everybody to the tables that he plans to sit at. So, you know, I do want to come back around, though, that what is very beautiful about the Wheel of Fortune and the Fool is it's like this huge celebration by your ancestors at this time of the year. Maybe you toast up to them on your beautiful altars and sacred spaces. And maybe your life, the way you live your life is your ancestral altar, because, I mean, that's them walking with you in your actual DNA, right? But however you look at that, it's a celebration, because it's like, yes, they got it. They're not going back into the relationship. Yes, they quit the job. It's like a celebration, right? Oh my gosh, they shifted past the trauma. We're so fucking proud. We can't wait to open the floodgates. And then once we celebrate, we're going to show them this whole new journey over here. We've just been waiting on them to receive and walk in it, right? I love to tell people in one-on-one work what I find is very interesting. And the Fool, listen, if you go back to the video that I did about during the Aries eclipse season, the Fool card was a big point of focus. And we were talking about how Saturn was going to go into Pisces. So here we are again in the second eclipse portal, pulling the Fool card. And I love about the Fool is nobody can ever tell, because he's a gesture. He's a little bit of a trickster. You know, is he jovial? Is he lighthearted? Like, is he kind of not really all there? Or is he actually very intelligent? Is he playing it aloof? What's really in his bag? I mean, nobody really knows. You know, like, where's the Fool? What's the Fool story? Nobody, I don't know. Do you know his story? We don't know. Is this his 35th? Is this his 40th, 50th time around the wheel? We don't know. Is it his first? I couldn't tell you, because he's just hopping out there, you know. Who knows what he's got in his bag? It could be like a Mary Poppins bag, and he just keeps pulling tricks out of it. Who knows? So, You know, there may be times that we find ourselves feeling like we're about to flip this wheel around for the 50th time. Or we can kind of recover that childlike spirit of, we can make it like it was the first time back into this beautiful journey if we choose to. But the trick is, what is it that you value? Because everything is going to cost you energetically, spiritually. So you got to figure out, how many ties are you going to be connected to? What do you really value? And are you being called to kind of attune yourself differently so that you can, walk through new doorways when they come to you? And it does depend on Seven of Pentacles. How have you been tending the seeds that you were given earlier in the year? Because that's going to set the tone for next spring, for the next rebirth of the wheel, and where you're going to go with that. So, Lord, so we're at 45 minutes already. I'm going to stop it here. And I hope you guys are doing well, staying grounded, getting outside, preferably without your shoes on. Get some sunshine, take good care until we speak again. And enjoy the rest of your week, okay?